Hello everyone, my name is Lina and I'm 13 years old from Tunisia. I'm here today with my friend Maya, who is also 13 years old and she is calling from Tunisia. Today we are interviewing Beto Altamirano, who is currently the CEO and co-founder at Irys. So tell us, where are you right now?
Hey Lina, hey Maya, thank you for the opportunity to join you today. It's exciting. I've heard great things about you from RIM, and yeah, I'm excited to be part of this interview. So I'm currently based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but I'm originally from Texas. So I'm from San Antonio, Texas. We like to ride horses and eat barbecue, and we watch a lot of football in Texas. But right now I'm currently in Massachusetts because I'm earning my master's in public administration from the Harvard Kennedy School. So I'm gonna be here probably like another year or less. And it's really cold. It's like snowing all the time and the weather is really cold. I'm not used to it because I'm from Texas, but that's where I'm located.
Is there any way that your childhood and your country influenced your decisions today?
Yeah, that's a great question, Maya. So I'm from Texas. I'm born and raised in South Texas, which is a border community between the United States and Mexico, right? So I grew up completely submerged in two cultures, which was a really great experience, right? Because I got to learn about Mexico and I got to learn a lot about the United States. So I really enjoy that. And the food was amazing, right? Because you get the Mexican food and then the American food. So, so it was a lot of fun. How did that influence me? So in many ways, I think that when you grow up being a bicultural young student, right, in school, you go home, right, and myself, I'm Mexican, right, so I'm a Mexican American. So at home, I spoke Spanish, right, with my parents and my family. But then I went to school and I spoke in English, right, which was really good. It was great because think about it, right? I was forming a bicultural experience that allowed me to have empathy towards other people, to other cultures. And I think we need more of that in this world, right? We need to have more empathy, right? And I think the way that looks is by understanding other cultures, right? And I was lucky enough to grow up in the middle of two cultures because it helped me a lot. And so I think that influenced me a lot, Maya, the way I am today.
That's great. Thank you for your answer.
When did you realize you wanted to be in politics and why?
So, okay, so it's a really intense story, right? Because growing up in South Texas, I had a great time. I loved it, but we also had a lot of challenges, right? We had a challenge of the immigration issues, right? So a lot of people that live on the border of the US and Mexico have immigration challenges. Some of them don't have the right documentation, some of them don't have the right visas to be living on the United States side. And that was the case for my father. He didn't have the right paperwork. So, he got his visa removed, and in other words, he was deported. And so he couldn't live with us anymore in the US. And for us, it was super intense, right? Imagine that your family is divided by the law and the policy of a country. And so for me, that really struck me, right? And it got me interested in politics. It got me, getting active in my community around the issues of immigration reform and other issues, right? But that's how I got involved in politics. It was something personal to me, right? And many times, politics happen to be an avenue, right, for people to raise their voices, their concerns, right? And to put the issues that they care about on the table, right? So other people learn about them, right? And so for me, that was my experience, right? So that's how I got into organizing communities, literally knocking on doors, talking to people about, political candidates, rain or shine. I was out there, talking to people. And I was young, I was 18. So I got involved in politics at a very young age. And then I went on to work in the Texas House of Representatives, which is a legislative branch in Texas. And then from there, I went on to work in the US Senate for Senator John Kerry. Senator John Kerry was the State Department Secretary for the United States. But before that, he was a senator, and that's when I was working with him. And after working in the US Senate, I worked in the White House. And that was an amazing experience.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. So imagine a kid from South Texas, whose father was deported, all the way making it to the White House. It was incredible. It was a journey.
Crazy.
It was a journey. And there I learned so much about myself. I learned a lot about, politics in the United States. I learned that, young people need to be active at a young age in the political circle, right? And so that's how I got involved in politics. And then after that, I went on to build my technology company, and that's what I do today. But I still, keep very relevant and very involved in Texas politics. I serve on many boards. I'm active in my communities, and I like to empower young people to get active in politics. So I serve on boards that have that focus, right, as well. So yeah, so that was how I got involved in politics.
So I just have a question really fast. So you are in North America, more like White House and everything, like you do politics there, but you also do politics in Texas?
Yes. So I no longer in DC. I spent some time working in Washington DC. But the way that the legislative works here in the US is that you have representation from your state government in DC, right? So you have the US Congress, and the US Congress has the House of Representatives and the US Senate, right? And all of them are representatives of different states all throughout the United States, okay? And so I was working, in DC for a senator, right? That was not from Texas, but I was John Kerry. He's actually from Massachusetts. But I was experimenting, the U.S. political national environment, right? So I wanted to learn about the national politics, right? So that's how I got involved in working in the U.S. Congress. However, my community is Texas, and that's where I'm going back, right? After getting my degree here from the university. And that's where I want to exercise my leadership, because it's so important to give back to your community, right? It's so important to go out there, make things happen, but then go back to your community.
And go back to...
Yes, it's important. It's important because, that's how you can inspire other people to go out and make things happen, right? I think it's important to go back to one's communities and transform them. It's really important.
It was very interesting.
Yeah. So we know that you have been in the university in Texas. I think it's at Austin.
That's
the
right.
name of the university.
Yeah, it's university. Yeah, the Longhorns. Hook 'em. That's what we say.
And did you do extracurricular activities there?
I did a lot of them. So the University of Texas at Austin is a great university in the state of Texas. Is one of the premier universities for the state of Texas. The mascot is a longhorn, right? And it's like a cow with really long horns, right? And so that's why the theme of celebrating the university is by doing this, right? So this is what we do, and that means like a cow, right, with the big long horns. And so in the football games, everybody's like hook 'em, and everybody says that. It would be great, for to have more people from different parts of the world to go to that university. So if anyone who's watching is interested in learning more about UT Austin, reach out to me. I'll tell you all about it. You're gonna have a great time at UT. So I did have a lot of extracurricular activities. At the time, I was working as well. I was doing internships, right? So that was my biggest extracurricular activity. I was working for the Texas House of Representatives. So like I talked about the US Congress and the US House of Representatives, each state has its own legislature, right? And they also have their Congress, each state in the US. So I was working for the state's Congress, right? As an intern. So I want to touch on that a little bit, right? The importance of doing internships, right, at a young age. When you are young, right, and you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, in college, whatever, right? Once you get to college, you're going to experiment that, which is going to be, you're going to have an amazing time. It's important to start learning about the real world, right? Not just the books, not just reading in class and raising your hand and talking in class, which is super important, right? But it's important to go out there in the world and work, right? And get experience, right? And so there's something called internships, right? And so the internships allow you, right, to have that experience. Sometimes they're paid and sometimes they're not paid, right? It depends. I will stress that you get paid for your work, right? But there's some internships where you don't even get $1, right? But you get the experience.
Experience, yeah.
Yes, you get the experience of being young and working and getting to know a lot of people. And then you go back to the classroom, right? You go back to the university, and all your learnings in the real world, you can apply them to the classroom setting, right? So it's very important that people do internships. You got to. I mean, especially when you're young, you have to, because that way you also kind of discover what you really want to do in life, right? Because think about it. If I ask you, Lina or Maya, what do you want to do in life right now? It's tough, right? Because you're young, you're still figuring things out, right? When I was your age, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I think I wanted to be an astronaut or something. I think I wanted to be, astronaut, architect, something like that. And, I ended up becoming a technology entrepreneur. But yeah, so I think it's super important that you get real life experience. And the way that you're going to find that is through internships. So that was the biggest extracurricular activity that I did, Maya, during my time in at UT Austin. However, I also played a lot of sports, which I think is important. You got to keep a balance, right? And not just study and work. You got to exercise, you got to eat correctly, all of that good stuff, so that you can keep your mind very active and excited about the work that you're doing. So I exercise a lot. I also spent a lot of time with my friends. I think it's super important that you socialize, because all of those people that you meet are going to go out to make big things in the world too, right? So you want to have a network of people that and keep in touch with them, right? So I think those were my extracurricular activities, Maya.
Yeah, and I think, just to come back, I think that internships, even if you don't get paid doing them, I think, the experience is the best thing to have in the internship. Like, money doesn't matter when you're you want the experience and not really get paid first, I think.
100%. And sometimes it's tough, right? Depending on your circumstance, right? Sometimes it's difficult, right? But then find a job that pays you, a part-time job, and then find the ability to find internships that give you a flexibility with time and schedule, so you can do both, right? So you can sustain your financials, but you can also get experience in the world that you want to get involved with, right? So it's important. It's important, and I stress that because I know a lot of young people are going to be watching this, and we got to stress the idea that we got to get real work-life experience while in college.
Yeah, that definitely helps. Even the experience definitely helps. I have two questions. One also is kind of following the extracurricular activities. So I just wanted to know, when did you start volunteering?
Yeah, so I started volunteering at a young age. When I was 16. When I was 16, I got my first job. So I got my first job was at a retail store, and it was just because I wanted to get the experience of working, somewhere. And it was during the winter break here in the US, and the winter break gets very intense for retail stores, right? I mean, clothing stores. And I was working for this brand called Abercrombie, and at the time it was really popular, right? And this was some time ago. And so that was the first time I got to work somewhere, and it was super crazy. It was really, really demanding from the people that were in the store, because it was during Christmas holiday and so on. But that was the first time I got involved in working. I had just turned 16. And then when I turned 17, I worked for this other company. It was like a healthcare company, right? That helped with physical therapy, for young people that have health issues that, make them impaired in terms of physical activities. And so it was really interesting because this job allowed me to see another world that I was not aware of, right? And the challenges that some kids face with health concerns, right? And so that opened my eyes a lot to a different world, because I was just in my bubble, right? In going to, high school, playing football, all of that, right? And so by doing this side volunteering work, I got to experience some of the challenges that young kids face regarding health concerns. And so that was the second job that I had, or volunteer opportunity. So I will say that volunteering is super important as well. Volunteering is a little bit different than internships, right? Volunteering can be 2 weeks, it can be 1 week, it can be just one weekend, right? But volunteer at your local, let's say food supply company or organization, right? In Texas and in the US, we have what is called food banks, right? And food banks allow people that come from underserved communities or that have faced recent challenges to receive food, right, in the form of boxes, right? And that food is donated by other people, right, through financials, by donating money or food to the food bank, right? So I say that because I'm a big food bank supporter. So in Texas, in San Antonio, I donate a lot to the food bank, and I actually created a campaign last winter break, not this one, but the 2021 winter break, where we fundraised close to $20,000 to help, the food bank. And in exchange, $20,000 is approximately 200,000 meals, warm meals for people that, were facing a lot of challenges during that winter break, because the energy, the power of the state went out in Texas for about 2 weeks. So we were living through extreme conditions of cold weather, and the state of Texas was not ready for it, right? So a lot of people were left out without food supply, right? So they relied on what is called the food bank, where people donate food and money to, receive a warm meal. And so I was lucky enough to get together a strategy where I got a lot of volunteers, also people from my own company, from Irys, and we went out there and we fundraised 20,000, and we also donated a lot of food, and it felt really good. And we didn't get anything in exchange for that. We did it because we wanted to become active in our community, right?
Wanted to help.
Yes, we wanted to help. I mean, I think that's what it's all about, right? When you help in that form, in that way, it's really rewarding. I mean, you feel really satisfied, right? I think it's not just about making money, it's also about having social impact, right? And I think donating your time as a volunteer is super important. So yeah, find something that you're passionate about, right? I'm passionate about the food bank because I know that food scarcity is one of the biggest issues in many places around the world. But there's so many other things where you can volunteer your time. And donating your time is one of the most important things you can do in life. So yeah, volunteering is super important.
I heard that you went to Harvard, and I wanted to know what you think is the achievement that made you enter Harvard, like one of them.
Yeah. So I study at Harvard, and it's a great experience. It's a beautiful experience. The people that you get to meet at Harvard are incredible. It's just super inspiring, right? And so, for me, many experiences allowed me, right, to get to where I am. But I think it's the story, right, of the work that I've done, right, and it's the consistency with the work that I do, right, in the social impact space. As you know, I spoke about my time working in politics and the work that I was doing there, but then I built a technology company, right, that focuses on helping people identify issues that they see in their community pertaining to infrastructure, right, like potholes, graffiti, vandalism, power outages, you name it, anything that needs to be fixed by the government, right? So I created a tool that allows people from all ages to report that, right? So you take a photo of that, you geolocate it, and you send that directly to your government, right? And so that's what I started as a company, and it became really popular. So they use it all over Texas, right? And now they're using it to identify, climate change issues and also aging infrastructure, right? So what is a climate change issue? So where does flooding is happening in your city? Why is the flooding more happening in that area than other areas, right? Or why is the sea level rising and destroying homes, right? So now our tools are being utilized. The app is utilized to highlight where all the flooding is happening in different areas of the state of New Jersey and the state of Massachusetts, right? And we work with engineering companies to develop a plan that allows the state to understand how they can fix it. So that's what we do.
So you mix technology and politics.
Exactly.
It's both and made an app or a site. Is it an app?
Yeah, it's an app. It's a software. Yeah, it's an app, and it's an app and a dashboard that allows all the people that I talked about to organize themselves. So as you can see, my background is very political, right? But then I transitioned to becoming a technology entrepreneur with the same idea in mind, right? How can we create impact in the world, right? And so that's what I do, and that has created an impact in my story, and I think that's what allowed me to get accepted into Harvard.
Wait, did you make Irys before going to Harvard?
Yes, I did. I started Irys when I was in my 20s. I was 27 when I started Irys, so I was still in my 20s. I started the company at a young age, and yeah. So I think I also want to stress that, right, for everyone who's listening to us in this podcast and interview, is that you can start a company at whatever age. You don't have to be old to start a company, right? That is lies. Whoever tells you that you have to be old to start a company, that's not true. You can start a company when you're 18. You can start a company when you're 16. You can start a company when you're 14, right? If you have an idea for something, you can make it happen. Now we have so many digital tools like websites and all of this, right? So you can start something whenever you want, right? If you're passionate about something and you believe in yourself, you can start it. So it's really important to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will believe in you. So it has to start with you, right? And as an entrepreneur, you have other people need to, support you. They need to embrace your ideas. And the only way that other people will jump on board to whatever idea you want to build or carry on is by you starting to believe in yourself. So yes, I started my company before I started Harvard.
So there's no age to start a company or something you love, or
no age, and especially now in today's world where you have technology and you have innovation and so on. I mean, if you want to become, let's say a YouTube star, or you want to become an influencer, but you want to leverage that into, maybe building something like a product, like maybe a shampoo or maybe something, right? You can do it, right? You can do it. I mean, it's not. Don't place limitations on you, right? I mean, I think that the biggest, one of the biggest learning lessons for me as a young entrepreneur was that sometimes it's hard to visualize, right, the success that we can achieve, or the product or the service that we can create, right? Because we haven't done it before. But once you get involved and start doing something, you'll realize that it's not that difficult. It's gonna take time and a lot of sweat and hard work, but you're gonna get there, right? And I think it's really great when you turn an idea into a reality. It's very rewarding. So I do encourage young people to explore the entrepreneurship world, because I feel that entrepreneurs have a lot of impact in this world.
Great. Okay. So that leads us to the next question. Okay, this question, so me and Lina, we saw that you took art as a subject in university, and we wanted to know why you took art, because you wanted to do politics and everything, so it's not really like linked, if I can say. So we just wanted to know why you took art.
Oh, you saw the Bachelor's of Arts.
Yeah, Bachelor's of Art in Austin.
In Austin,
Texas.
Austin.
Yeah.
So the way that it works in the U.S., it's not a Bachelor of Arts, right? It's called a Bachelor of Arts because it's under the liberal arts school, right? So I studied government, political science. Political science is considered an art, right? So I did study government. So I got a Bachelor of Arts in Government, right? So in the US, because it's under the School of Liberal Arts, right? It's called Bachelor of Arts in Government, right? So I wasn't painting, right? I wasn't doing that work, right? By the way, my sister is she's an actress from UT Austin, and she's a painter as well. So she's the artist. I'm not, and so yeah, she's currently at UT Austin actually. And yeah, she wants to
Taking real arts.
doing, yeah, she will. She wants to become a famous actress, so that's what she's doing. But no, I'm not an artist. I love art, but I'm not an artist. I'm an artist in the sense of public speaking, right? Of persuasion, of negotiation, of politics, right? That's why they call politics an art, and that's why I studied a Bachelor of Arts in Government, right? But again, it's under the liberal arts school, not necessarily that means that I'm an artist, or maybe I am. I don't know.
Who knows?
Did university form you in any way? Like, I don't know if you understand what I mean, but did it form you? Did it change?
Did the university shape me, right, as a person?
Yep.
It did, 100%. I think going to university is important, right? Sometimes, some kids don't want to go to university and they want to do something else, which is okay as long as it's something meaningful, like building a company at a young age, etc. But even then, I think you have to go to university. You have to, 100%. The university is going to give you so many tools, right? How to interact with a lot of people, how to, talk about your ideas openly in class, how to debate, certain points of, let's say, that you're passionate about, right? I mean, you got to think about all of that, right? You got to think about how, you're going to be able to create a community inside of the university and around, the issues that you care about or the things that you like, right? I mean, what do you like, Lina? What things are you passionate about?
What do I want to do? What are my hobbies?
Yeah, your hobbies or what you want to do.
I want to be an engineer in robotics, but I love writing as a hobby.
That's amazing. What about you, Maya?
Yeah, I also really like robotics. But my hobby, I don't know, I'm really interested in the being a doctor and everything. Like it really, I don't know, I'm interested in that because I'm kind of impressed by old doctors and people who help people with their jobs, and I don't know, I love
amazing.
it.
No, you do know. I think both of you are interested in STEM, right? Which is science, technology, engineer, right? Mathematics. I mean, I think a career in STEM is going to be so rewarding for both of you. I mean, when you think about the future of technology, when you think about the future of the professional world today, if I can advise anyone right now, what should I study in college? Something to do with engineering in terms of, for example, robotics or software engineering, and something related to business, like economics, business administration or something like that. Because when you combine those two, it's going to make you super powerful, right? You're going to be able to, get any job you want, right? And you're going to be able to be very flexible in your abilities, right? Now, becoming a doctor is such a noble career, right? I have friends that are doctors, and it's a beautiful career. It's not for everyone, right? It's more of a passion, right, that you have to have from the get-go. And my friends that are passionate about it are today, they are doctors, right? And also lawyers, right? Being a lawyer it's important, right? I mean, we need lawyers in this world. My wife, she's a lawyer, right? She's a lawyer and she's also a technologist. So she works in tech, but she's a lawyer, right? And so I think it's super important that,
Mix.
you have that flexibility, right? And so to your question, right, Lynn, university is going to shape you in many ways, right? And so you bring those ideas that you have right now, for example, robotics, and maybe they are shaped. Maybe you end up becoming or doing something else, right, Lina? But you had that in mind, right? Going in, you had that idea going in, right? And so the university is going to shape you. It's definitely going to shape you, and you have to go to university. College is going to be an amazing experience. You're going to have so much fun. Maybe you do internships, maybe you do study abroad, right? And you're going to enjoy it a lot. So I stress to everyone who's watching, go to university, go to college, right? But go with an intention. What does that mean? Going into college with an intention means have an idea of what you want to do. Not necessarily, I want to become a doctor and that's it. No, have the intention of, I want to study something in STEM, right? And let's see where I end up, right? But be open. And most importantly, you got to be curious, right? We have to be curious about everything, right? So go into college being curious about what you want to do in life, right? Because when you're curious, you open, the door for possibilities.
Besides, yeah.
Yeah, you get to learn about all kinds of ideas and fields, and you're gonna have a great time. So yes, Lina, university is gonna shape you.
Thank you, that helps.
So what goals are you counting on achieving for the future? Like now that you meet Irys, you're in Harvard now, you did so many stuff. Like what are your goals for the future?
So I have a lot of goals, right? But most importantly, I want to continue growing my company, right? Right now I have 15 team members, and I want to grow that to 30 team members by the end of the year. And so I want to keep doing what I'm doing, right? Building up, the company, but I also want to experience and explore other topics, right? Some of the topics that I'm passionate about right now, living here in Cambridge and exploring ideas with MIT and the Harvard Innovation Labs, is the concept of the metaverse, right? Or Web3. So when you think about the metaverse, right, it's a world that, we're going to be exploring pretty soon. And a lot of the technology is heading that way, right? Because it's going to open the door for possibilities for people that cannot move around quickly, etc. So you're going to be submerging yourself in a virtual world that is going to allow you to live like you live in this reality, right? You're going to be able to
NFTs and everything.
NFTs, of course, yeah. A lot of the design of the metaverse is backed by some sort of cryptocurrency, right, and blockchains, which Intel, the NFTs talked about. But think about going shopping, right? You're going to be able to do shopping on the metaverse. You're going to be able to meet with friends on the metaverse, right? So how today we text and we meet like that. So in the metaverse, you're gonna be able to see them face to face and talk to them and hang out, or go shopping and things like that. And then everything that you're doing in the metaverse then is gonna become a reality. Like you're gonna shop for something, I don't know, like for a book or something, and then it's gonna arrive at your home, right?
Hello?
So it's all gonna be intertwined. So it's gonna be exciting. So why am I talking about that? Because I'm interested in exploring how to design architecture and engineering for the metaverse. So having real architects and their designs or their blueprints actually imported into the metaverses that Facebook, Oracle, Microsoft, and all these big companies are developing, right? So, and they're all going to be backed by NFTs. So that's one of the projects that I'm also looking into. I'm interested in doing that with Irys as well with my company. So jumping into that world would be really interesting with my company. In terms of politics, I'm interested in continue serving my communities of South Texas. And eventually, if there's an opportunity to serve on a public position, I will, right? But to get to that point, I want to ensure that, I'm comfortable with my company and everything's is running smoothly. So to your question is continue growing my company. And then of course,
and extend your knowledge.
Exactly. And then on the political side, continue serving, the way that I do today on many boards and my communities. But I love to travel. And so I can't wait for this COVID-19 situation to be, to pass, because I love to travel. I used to spend a lot of time in Europe traveling. And so, yeah. So to your question, I hope that that answered it.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. Lina, do you want to ask?
Yeah, the last question we're going to ask you is, do you have any advice for children who want to follow your path?
Yeah, so stay the course, right? I mean, you got to focus and you got to believe in yourself, and you have to have faith in possibilities, right? You have to have faith in possibilities. You have to be, you know, you have to be consistent with what you want to accomplish. You got to be very disciplined, right? I think sometimes, when you're young, you get frustrated, if you don't get results right away. And you have to realize that those results will come, but you got to continue the path. You got to be consistent, and you got to be resilient. What does resilient means? It means that no matter what obstacle is in your way, you will stand up again and you will continue forward, right? And I think that's the way that any entrepreneur is going to thrive. But in the end, you have to have faith in possibilities. That's how you're going to build hope, and that hope, nobody can take it away from you. So that's my advice for, young kids that are interested in exploring, the entrepreneurial world. It was a pleasure, Lina and Maya.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, Reem. We were so glad to ask you questions and learn about what you do. Unfortunately, we don't have more time for more questions. Lina and I were super inspired.